6 now on Daybreak, and this morning we are remembering a mystery solved, the Regas trial, and the days of no helmets for hockey players and snowmobilers.
Channel 2's Dave McKinley looks back to when those stories and more were all news to you.
10 years ago this week, when Visit Buffalo Niagara President and CEO Patrick Kaler had just completed his first month on the job, one of the coldest winters on record produced ice caves along Lake Erie at Crystal Beach, attracting thousands. The Arctic's Edge exhibit at the Buffalo Zoo, where polar bears now play, was just a construction site upon which ground for the exhibit had just been broken. Ranked first in the country after getting off to a best-in-school history 25-0 start, Syracuse lost its first game of the season before going on to drop 6 of its last 9. At his State of the City address, Mayor Brown announced that city police would start carrying Narcan to combat the burgeoning epidemic of fatal drug overdoses. Ironically, it was the same week that the world's most wanted drug lord, El Chapo, was arrested in Mexico. Back in Western New York, once among the most popular spots for banquets and wedding receptions, Hearthstone Manor closed its doors during the same week when a plan was unveiled to convert the shuttered Trico plant downtown into 2 hotels. The $50 million project was supposed to take 2 years to complete, but after several fits and starts and changes of plans, work has resumed to finish the job 10 years after it was first announced this week in 2014. 20 years ago this week.
We will all miss you so much.
It was a wrap as the final episode of Sex and the City was aired, and with it came the answer to a long-burning question. This week's News to You pop quiz: what was the real name of Big, Carrie Bradshaw's on-again, off-again boyfriend throughout the 6-season run of the popular HBO show, which was finally revealed in the series finale, which aired this week in 2004. It was the same week that Adelphia Cable founder John Regas, whose fortune at one time included the Buffalo Sabres, went on trial for fraud, for which he would be convicted and sent to prison, and when, with courts clearing the way for states to permit same-sex marriage, President Bush made one last and unsuccessful effort to stem an impending tide of change.
Today I call upon the Congress to promptly pass and to send to the states for ratification an amendment to our Constitution defining and protecting marriage as the union of a man and woman as husband and wife.
30 years ago this week, when the mayor and county executive actually got along, they shook hands on a deal on hotel bed tax revenues, which cleared the way for construction of the Crossroads Arena, which you now know as KeyBank Center. The late, great Jim Brown was in town and graced our set for a live interview.
Are you a role model?
Role models there's only one, that's God. All of us have too many negative aspects of ourselves to elevate ourselves as a role model. It's a cliche that should be disregarded.
Oh, and you know those wacky candy wax lips and teeth? Did you know they were manufactured mostly in Buffalo? Or at least they were until WNF Manufacturing announced they'd be closing after nearly 60 years, leaving 200 people out of work this week in 1994. 40 years ago this week, when you still saw a lot of veteran NHL players playing without helmets, helmets were also just suggested but not required for snowmobilers. It would be a few more years before the state got to mandating that, and while we're here are some vintage sleds for your viewing pleasure from this week in 1984, when it was all news to you.
Okay, so here's the answer to this week's News to You pop quiz. Wait, Pete, do you know? Pete's a big Sex and the City fan, if you didn't know.
John it said that's the name that was revealed. His last name I don't remember, but that was, oh yeah, John Preston. Yeah, that's what was revealed in the movies.
All right, yeah, it turned out that it was John, and although she never said it or called him that, fans of the show saw it revealed for a brief moment on her cell phone.
Yep.
When the series finale aired this week in 2004. Cell phones from 20 years ago.
On her burner phone.
Now, is it true that